Hello everybody, I am Fuzzyface and welcome back to this Williams career on Motorsport Manager, the resurrection of the Williams Grand Prix team. We have been doing pretty well so far this season. Head over to the Constructors standings. We are 6th overall in the Constructors table. The last race we had both cars finishing the points for the first time this season, which moved us above and ahead of the Haas F1 team. Alfa Romeo, Toro Rosso, Renault really struggling for points. They've only scored 5, 3, 1 respectively. Robert Kubica, since coming into the team for an injured Lance Stroll, managed to maintain that seat after getting a podium. Has scored 23 points now this season. 9th place for him in the drivers' standings. He's doing amazingly well. We're 8 days away from the German Grand Prix. We have stopped because there is a politics vote to go through, so we're just going to get that done and out of the way. It is voting on for bonus points for the driving pole position. I don't really have an opinion on this. Obviously that would help the teams at the top of the order. Not that it's going to bother us for the next few seasons, so we're just going to abstain and we'll go ahead, and that has been voted against, and Ferrari voting against it. 2 votes against it. So voting over, no bonus points. We'll just run through what we've been updating with the car. We're currently working on a front wing. Having looked at what we can do going forward, there's not much room to improve this season. So I am moving ahead. Schedule last video I talked about moving ahead with the scheduling and just concentrating on next year's car. We have started really early concentrating on next year's car now. So this year's car is pretty much in the books. Whatever we can improve it to the parts we've got sat in the car currently is what this car is going to be until the end of the season. We have got 2 new engine builds done. They can't go in the car. Obviously, if you see my other videos, I can't put it into Milan because I've set myself a staggered release for releasing updates throughout the season. So we do have some little improvements to the engine that we can make. We've got a rear wing here sat waiting to go in the car as well, so we need to get that up to scratch at some point as well. That can get up to an 832. We have an engine 959 that can get up to a 989. So if we put that in the car, where does that move us up engine wise? That puts us 5th, back into the 5th place we were, and would have us 9th overall. I think even without that engine fitted in the car, we have actually moved the car above that of the Sauber. So if we come back here and look, slightly improved. We're just ahead of the Sauber in terms of our car. So that's the first time our car hasn't been the 10th best on the grid. So that is a huge improvement there. HQ wise, the forecasting centre has been built. So now going forward, we're going to be able to see a little bit further ahead for the weather, although it's not really been a problem this season. So heading into the Munich Grand Prix, Sebastian Vettel now leads the Drivers' Championship. He has overtaken Daniel Ricciardo after the last race. Vettel won. Lewis Hamilton's trailing by quite a bit, 32 points behind. Then we see Alonso having a great season in 4th place, beating out Valtteri Bottas in the Mercedes. The Red Bull, though, still 26 points ahead of the Mercedes team. They're still leading the Constructors. Mercedes starting to come back now a little bit. They haven't won a race this season, though, surprisingly, but they have started to have a little bit of a race improvement recently. And we'll just select the same tyres as usual, and we will be back in a second. We're just going to have a quick check of the car, see if everyone's happy, because we are just working on the performance. Everyone's still happy, 6% happy, 8%. Yeah, so we will be back in a moment after practice and qualifying to go through the grid for the German Grand Prix. So qualifying is over in Munich. Here is the grid for the 2018 German Grand Prix. The front row of the grid sees Lewis Hamilton in pole position in his silver Aero, Daniel Ricciardo in 2nd in the Red Bull racing car, Sebastian Vettel 3rd, followed by Fernando Alonso 4th. Another good qualifying session for him. Kimi Raikkonen in the Ferrari in 5th, and Max Verstappen in the Red Bull in 6th place. On the 4th row of the grid, we get both Renaults. Renault, if you remember the Constructors, they are bottom of the table. Qualifying always really good for them. Race pace nowhere to be seen though. And we see Hülkenberg ahead of his teammate Carlos Sainz. Valtteri Bottas, once again, his form, way off form. 9th place for him, the silver Aero, 9th place. And Valtteri Bottas looking like he'll be out of the Mercedes team. Maybe he could be a move. He isn't interested in coming back to us, but if he can't get this Mercedes to perform, then he's a little bit risky to put in the Williams, although obviously he would be a lot better than Sirotkin. Stoffel Van Dorn rounds out the top 10 in the McLaren. Then we see the pair of Haas F1 team cars, 11th and 12th, Kevin Magnussen, Roman Grosjean. Then we see the 2 Force Indias of Ocon and Sergio Perez in 13th and 14th. The Toro Rosso of Pierre Gasly, 15th. More dodgy necks just all around this season. Sauber, Ericsson, we've seen him finishing 20th for the last few races in qualifying. Charles Leclerc 17th, Brendan Hartley 18th in a Toro Rosso, and as you can possibly guess, since you haven't seen our cars yet, an absolutely disastrous qualifying session. Way off the pace. Robert Kubica 19th, Sergei Sorokin 20th. Just couldn't hook anything up together. Just our car doesn't seem to suit this track at all, so it might be a tough race. Hopefully we can get a good start here. We are starting on the medium tyre. Just going to see how far into the race we can get onto this medium tyre, because if we can get onto the hard tyre around lap 14, lap 15, we should be able to go the distance just doing the one stop, which might help us out in this race. We are going to try desperately to get that one stop strategy to work. Unless we see any improvements in the cars, as if they can move themselves up the order, then we might think about switching strategies, but I think that is the best one to go for this race. Kubica has moved up to 18th, Sorokin is up in 19th, Hartley's going to try and go down the outside, might get the move on Sorokin. Sorokin's now got the inside line going in, as that is Kubica battling with Leclerc here. Obviously, Sauber were our main competitors this season, the team we wanted to beat. We have comfortably done that so far, as we see Kubica complete that move, but Leclerc back on the inside. Hartley gets the inside line as well, but Kubica should be on the inside here. Hartley goes around the outside of Leclerc, and Sorokin trying to get past his teammate here. It looks like the weather is going to be dry for this race, so there's nothing to worry about there. It was raining in practice and qualifying, so maybe we'll see something towards the end of the session. It does get cloudy and the temperature starts to drop, which might indicate some rain coming. But we're just going to have to see how we go. We're going to have to try and make these medium tyres last as well, since we're not really competing at the moment, although we say that and then we see Leclerc slow down, both our cars get past him. We're going to just look after these tyres and see if we can make this one-stop strategy work. Although, we're going to start falling so far behind the field trying to make this work that it might not be worth it. But I think it's the only way we're going to see any improvement during this race. Sorokin, though, moves himself up to 17th. Ericsson dropped down the order. Kubica trying to make that move stick as well. He can make his tyres last a little bit longer, but let's try and get past the Sauber, because it looks like it's sort of slowing us down at the moment, so we'll try push to get past Ericsson. And there we go. Well done, Kubica makes that move stick into, as we hit that sort of hairpin corner. Sorokin now, we've got a Force India of Esteban Ocon in front of us. Another Mercedes customer just in front. Can we sort of catch up? I don't think we're lapping any quicker than them. 132, almost a second quicker, although that was on the previous lap. Ocon might have been slowed down. We see a 131.5. We're still lapping a little bit quicker. Kubica off the pace with a 132, although he was hampered on that last lap a little by Marcus Ericsson. So Sorokin now 17th place. We just wanting to make these tyres are going to get a little bit cold. We're about lap 4. We've used 23% of the tyre. It's going to be pretty hard to try and reach the level that we want to get to, especially with Sorokin, since his tyres wear away a little bit quicker, although there's not too much of a gap between what they're doing at the moment, 74 and 76. It does mean about an extra lap that Kubica can stay out, or even 2. I think with the middle compound tyre you can get around to about 10% before it starts affecting performance. That's what we're going to aim for. Just sort of try and hang on. It is a normal pit straight here, probably around 20-21 seconds. So as long as we're somewhere around there, we're still only 6 seconds behind here. And they might be making 2 pit stops. We might see some of the others try a 1 stop on these guys on the hard tyres. We've got a Toro Rosso and a Force India on the hard tyres as well. Sorokin though still chasing Esteban Ocon. The Force India's in front, looking at a 1 stopper, I would guess, as well. So we might be able to make a little bit of a difference depending on if the Renaults go for soft. They have been way off with what they do tactically throughout the race. So let's just speed this up. We're sort of in a long at the moment. Our car's not doing much, so let's just see how we go with these tyres as we speed things up a little bit. So Sorokin. So are we still lapping quicker than the Force India? We are, but we're just not making anything stick, and we just want to keep our strategy going as Sorokin sets his best lap of the race on that last lap. Maybe we should conserve a little bit of fuel, maybe. What are the other guys? Everyone else is still pushing. We don't want to fall too far behind the rest of the order to make this plan sort of stick. We're at 8 laps. We've gone about through half of the tyre, so it looks like we're going to comfortably sort of get to lap 15, which we need. There still doesn't look to be any rain. Yeah, it's going all the way through. I can see through to about lap 30. There's going to be no rain coming here, so we can just keep going. Sorokin sets his quickest lap of the race on that last lap. A 1:30.6. Kubica's 0.003 of a second quicker than him. And we're seeing Ocon still going really slow. I just don't know why we're not catching him. Maybe we can get pushing since we've got a little bit of... We're sort of comfortable in what we're doing at the moment. Kubica, though... It seems like Sorokin's sort of holding Kubica up a little bit here. So we might get Kubica into the... Oh, we don't really want him in the pits first because he can go a little bit longer on this medium tyre. So maybe have him hold back a little bit. Don't really want him battling with Sorokin. So when Sorokin pits, then we'll have Kubica push all out, see if he can make something stick through a with a slight overcut. Although the overcuts never seem to work in this game. Meanwhile, we're still pushing this tyre a little bit with Sorokin. He's not making this move stick. Maybe we'll try him in overtake mode, see if that can get him past the Force India of Esteban Ocon. Ocon on the hard compound tyre tries to go down the outside. Can he make a move stick as we hit the pit straight? He can. It looks like he's going to carry that speed down into the next corner. We can't afford to push his tyres too much though, so we'll immediately dial back now. And we'll just keep Kubica going as he is. We don't want to risk too much with him. So we're now just behind the two Toro Rossos of Gasly and Hartley. We've seen a few cars come into the pits, so that means Sorokin is 12th and Kubica's 14th. 1 second, so we're going to be coming out behind Magnussen, who's going to get to the end of the race. These cars that have come out on mediums, they're going to have to do another stop as well, so we could be effectively in front of like Raikkonen and Verstappen. Although I don't think we would be. They're going to be going a lot quicker than us in this stint of the race. So Sorokin, meanwhile, has managed to get himself past Pierre Gasly in the Toro Rosso as well. So excellent driving from him today. He's currently up into 9th. We see more cars hit the pits, although we're starting to lose out now. 2 more laps before we can start thinking about this pit stop with Sergei Sorokin. This can do 18 to 20 laps. So effectively, if we take it down to threadbare, the 0%, we could pretty much get to the end of the race. Obviously, if you heard me explain before, the hardest tyre compound you can get down to 0% before it starts losing performance. To middle hardest compound, you can usually get around to about 10%. So we're not doing too badly here overall. We've seen a couple of cars pit in front of us and get back out in front of us. Obviously, we're no match for Ricciardo, who is second in the championship. And we've got Esteban Ocon coming back at Sergei Sorokin. So Sorokin this time around, we're going to get him pushing this time. Should we get him pushing? And he will get into the pits for this hard tyre. Hopefully he can get to the end of the race from here. Obviously we've been the Williams, we do have the quickest pit crew. Although I'm not sure where we're at the moment, because we do have a couple of guys resting at the moment. We're not the quickest. We can be at like 1.6. The current crew we've got at the moment can do like 2.3. So we're about 7/10 down on what we can do pit stop wise. Well, it seems a little bit hard to keep a fresh A crew. But that's what we've got to deal with in this game. Sorokin, meanwhile, he's going to dive into the pits behind Hartley. So we're going to get Kubica now pushing. Maybe he can do 2 laps on that medium before he has to come in. Are we out in front of the Toro Rosso? No, we're not. And we're going to look after this medium tyre. We're going to push a little bit in the outgoing laps on this hard tyre. What has Hartley come in? A soft tyre. So Hartley definitely has to pit again. Kubica, meanwhile, he's setting his quickest lap. These are going to go below 10% if we try and do another lap, it looks like. So, or would they? What are they doing? 18. No, we'll get Kubica in for his hard tyre, and then he can do 1 lap pushing all out on that hard tyre. Where's he going to be? 16 seconds. Is he going to get out ahead of his teammate? There goes Sorokin. Sorokin, oh, they almost hit each other. It seemed like coming out of the pits then. And we're going to start looking after this tyre of Sorokin. So we might even have to start thinking about team orders here, because we've got Kubica behind pushing in the early going of his first stint, although I don't think he's really going to get anywhere close to Sorokin, although he does. So maybe we'll order him through so Kubica can sort of get going now. He's going to do another lap pushing like this. Well, he's not really getting out in front now, although he does have more fuel. We're going to have to start thinking about recovering at some point with Sorokin. Maybe do a lap in overtake mode for Kubica, see if we can sort of catch him up, as we see a lot of these other cars must be starting to think about pit stops. A lot of these possibly do need to do a second pit stop as well. So let's just give Kubica the free rein to push overtake mode. Maybe attack on these tyres a little bit as well. He's got a little bit of spare tyre life as well. Just see what we can sort of do on this lap. Kubica goes around out in front of the other cars that have made their first pit stops, Gasly and Leclerc. So we're going to go back down into pushing and high mode. Kubica, that last lap was a 1:29.2. Not the quickest lap, that last lap. We see the top three, although pretty much quicker than every other car in the order. He's now 2.6 seconds ahead of Sergei Sorokin. So it's just about whether this strategy is going to work for us now and move us up the order if any of these other cars come in for a second pit stop. So we just sort of have to watch out what they're doing. Ericsson is now into the pits. We get both cars back past both Saubers, which is where we were before the first round of pit stops. They're going to be going to the end on a quicker compound tyre though, so they've got a chance of coming back at us, especially Gasly. That tyre should see him through to the end of the race. Leclerc has gone for a hard tyre. So we just need to sort of figure out if we can start pushing on these tyres, because Gasly's going to start coming back. So we're going to get Sorokin pushing a little bit just to sort of move him up a bit. We see some other cars come into the pits as well, getting their first pit stop out of the way. I think who was that pitted then? Esteban Ocon in the Force Indy goes onto a medium tyre. Currently got Perez in front, who's running to the end of the race as well. I don't think we're going to be able to get past him. He's on a fresher compound tyre as well. So we're not really going to push the car to get past him, otherwise it would wreck our strategy heading into the final parts of the race as we complete lap 20. We're now on lap 21. We've got cars like Hartley, Van Dorn need to pit, Sainz, Verstappen needs to pit, Alonso possibly needs to pit, up to about 25 seconds. So if these cars pit, we've got a few points, but it doesn't look like we're going to be able to get into the points this race. Just this track just not suiting our car at all, and we're going to have to start recovering fuel with Sergei Sorokin now, start looking after these tyres. We might as well start Kubica on his fuel recovery program as well. Currently 14th and 15th. We'll just speed things up as there's no real interesting movements in this race, although we've got a few cars trying to chase down Sorokin at the moment. Are they going any quicker than him? We're doing a 1:30.5. Yeah, these cars behind us are a lot quicker than what we're doing at the moment. Hulkenberg has made a second pit stop, as has Carlos Sainz. The Renault's out of the points once again. On behalf of them, although we see Hulkenberg quickly fighting back. We move up into 10th and 11th here. Although we've got like the cars like Alonso behind us, Hulkenberg behind us, who are a lot quicker than us. It's going to be hard to sort of hold on to these points positions. Magnussen might need to pit off this hard tyre. There is a chance of points. There's still a chance of points if we can just sort of keep things going. We're just nice and steady wins the race, obviously. Not for us, it doesn't win the race as Raikkonen gets out of the pits in front of us, which would mean Verstappen would get out of the pits in front of us as well. Is he going to be coming in this lap? What's he going to take the mediums down to? There we go. It's going to see us. He was about 19 seconds as he came into the pits. It will give us a good idea of what the pit lane length is like down here. It seems to be about, yeah, there we see, 20 seconds or so. So Verstappen does come out behind us, although we're not going to be able to hold him off, just like we couldn't hold Alonso off. Whether we can hold off the charging Renault at the moment, Sainz has managed to pass his teammate. So we've got Magnussen, maybe, I don't think Grosjean's going to risk this, but Bottas might risk it, although he's 30 seconds ahead of us. So we've just got to try Sorokin sort of dropping down the order now. So we're going to sort of concentrate on Kubica. We've got no real chance of holding off Verstappen, so we're not going to try and make that stick. We're going to save our resources, the fuel, and pushing on the tyre a little bit for in case Sainz starts to get close to us. We see, is anyone else pitting? We move up to 9th now. We see that. Who just pitted then? Who was it? That was it. It should be. Who's got fresh tyres on? Magnussen. Couldn't even see. The Haas of Magnussen has pitted. So we move up to 9th now. So if Verstappen gets past us, we're still in the points. He's going to see it. He's going to go around the outside of that hairpin corner. We've got Carlos Sainz behind us now. Carlos Sainz behind us. He's pushing his tyres all out. He's going to be going through those mediums. So if we flick this up into push as well, I don't think we're going to be able to hold him off though. We've got the inside line. No, just no competing against those fresher medium compound tyres. You see Grosjean has pitted though now. which means we just need to hold off Nico Hulkenberg. Whether we can do that. What is Hulkenberg doing? A 129? No, it was 1.5 seconds quicker on that last lap than us, which doesn't bode well. The tyres underheating for Sorokin. We'll get him pushing a little bit. Might need to go low mode as well for a little bit so he can recover that fuel. Sorokin just out. Maybe we'll give Lance Stroll a try in the upcoming races. Maybe the next race or the one after that. Or maybe give Sorokin a little bit more time in this car. Meanwhile, we have evened out. No, look at that. It's still going to be able to see this time. What do we do? A 129.3. So we're going quicker than the Renault now. So if we go back to medium mode, are we still going quicker than the Renault as we head into the final few laps? Can we keep this and get 2 points finishes in a row? Hulkenberg closing in 0.6 tenths, 4 tenths. He's closing back in here. Can we go back to push mode? I think we can. We've got enough life in this tyre to get through to the end of the race. Hulkenberg's mediums, 34%. He's got enough there as well. What's he doing at the moment? He's pushing his fuel as well. We're about almost recovered with the fuel. It's just about whether we can keep him behind as a 130 to Hulkenberg's 129.2. He's going to start coming back. So can we attack on these tyres? Hulkenberg pushing. Go high mode. Try and keep in front of him. And then recover as we do. There we go. We get away from him a little bit and go push mode now. It's good. Sorokin, we've just sort of been ignoring him as we recover the fuel. Not much hope for him down the back. In that Williams car is sort of fading away. Some of these other cars that have had quicker tyres on them, and there we see Hulkenberg finally make that move, puts us outside the points. There's no competing with the Renault in this race. They have a lot stronger car. I don't think we'd be able to even push to. It's too much of a risk going like that, so we'll just dial everything back now. Try and hold on to this 11th place. I don't think Esteban Ocon's got much on us as we head towards starting the final lap here. Just watch Kubica around this final lap. This tyre strategy did sort of work. It has moved us up from 19th and 20th up into 11th, at least for Kubica. Whether we could have two-stopped and gone for something a little bit more aggressive, maybe we'll try that out in another race just to see which sort of strategies work better. Esteban Ocon, is he lapping quicker than us at the moment? We've got some life in these tyres to push as well, so we can sort of stay ahead of this Force India, although we have a quick Haas behind us on that soft tyre. Just a couple more corners to go. Can we stay ahead of this Haas of Roman Grosjean? Not that it matters a whole lot, other than pride and maybe where the chairman considers us to have finished over the race. But there, Kubica comes across the line. 11th place, not a bad race, and we see Sorokin come across the line in 17th place. His tyres got down to 3%, so only just making that strategy on the tyres work for him. But Hamilton wins the German Grand Prix. Should see him move up the order. Ricciardo finishes second. I'm not sure how far he was behind Vettel. That might at least let him get back up the driver's standings. So we'll just check the scrutineering on the cars. Was anybody cheating? That might move someone down the order. No, no one with any illegal parts. Kubica stays 9th. Sorokin 14th. Only 1 point as we sort of approach or have just passed the halfway point of the season. Vettel and Ricciardo within 1 point of each other. Lewis Hamilton is starting to close the gap. Alonso a little bit further back, and Bottas still really struggling. I did actually finish in that last race. Where was Valtteri Bottas? 4th. Not too bad for him. The Renaults are both in the points this time. Might move them off the bottom, which is bad news for the team of Toro Rosso. Toro Rosso now bottom of the table, so we could see Red Bull's sister team moving down to F2, which would be not very good for them. But we are seeing the ART team coming up next season. They are a long way in front. Sauber still 8th, Renault 9th. Haas not scoring points, which is good for us, keeps us in 6th place. Kubica still relatively happy, a little bit of improvement. He's not improving that, and Sorokin's not really improving his stats either. There's no real point in putting Stroll in the car, because as we can see his consistency is not as good as Sorokin. He's a bit better, he's more adaptable, his fitness isn't as good, feedback's not as good, focus not as good. Sorokin's better at braking, they're matched in cornering, smoothness, Sorokin's better. Yes, there's no real point of even trying Lance Stroll in the car now going forward, and as we can see Sorokin's improving a little bit better, but Neither of them have massive upsides, only 3.5 stars they can get to. £629,000 coming into the team. And yeah, our car has now moved back down to 10th, so Sauber have obviously introduced some upgrades. Before we're going to be moving on to the Ardennes Grand Prix, which is the equivalent of Spa, and then we've got the engine upgrades coming for Milan. So we'll just skip ahead. We'll get this interview done with Channel 4. Use team orders. Team orders are a fact of life. It's not going to upset anyone. Pit crew Hamilton wins the Munich Grand Prix. We're just going to get on to this now. I'm just going to go ahead, and what we're going to do is we want these engines ready for Milan, so we're going to start working on them. We've got 17 days to there, so we've got 31 days till the Milan Grand Prix. So if we can get these sort of around there, this is all going to be ready for the next Grand Prix. We're going to see engine improvements, and the reliability should be more or less there as well. So maybe we'll slide this way a bit, because we only need these around 85–80% to be good enough to get to the end of the race, and then we can start going back to concentrating on the performance of the front wing, rear wing. And actually we need to work on this rear wing as well, don't we? So not too much on the performance though, because we're making a jump. Not much of a jump, but at least one of the cars will be getting a big jump. So let's just try. Yeah, if we go for that, and then yeah, if we get rid of that, bring that this way and there, that should all be ready heading in. If we just keep that as the focus heading into Milan, these are the 3 upgrades that we're working on to go into the car for that point. But anyway, that is it for this episode. Hit me up on Twitter, Facebook. You'll find the links up in the top right hand corner of this video. There's a little symbol with my handle. You'll find the links to my social media down below. Subscribe, leave a like, maybe leave a comment. Maybe you've got some ideas on drivers for next season, what we should be doing with the parts. Just try to keep all the money back rather than building more HQ parts until I sort of know what sort of costs the cars are going to be for next season, because we're not really getting any money into the team per race, so we're just sort of holding back to see what happens there. But other than that, that is it for this episode of this Williams Resurrection career. We will be back tomorrow hopefully with the Belgium Grand Prix. Looking forward to the F2 race and Formula 1 qualifying tomorrow. This video will be up on a Saturday, which is the same day, but recording it the day before. But anyway, that is it for this episode. I will see you down the road in Ardennes for the Belgium Grand Prix. Goodbye.